your girl Ariza, a licensed clinical social worker with over a decade of experience helping people just like you pass the LMSW and LCSW exam. I've coached dozens of test takers to success, and now I'm here to help you do the same thing. So whether you're a first timer or a repeat test taker, this is the place to get the tools, the strategies, and the mindset you need to level up and pass this exam. So let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about social work theories, how to apply them during the exam, and understanding what key concepts you must know in order to be successful. So we're only going to talk about 3 theories, and I'm breaking them down very elementary level just so you can understand what it looks like, how to apply it. And if this was helpful, in the comments section say yes, and that will let me know that you enjoy this, and I'll pick a few more theories to go ahead and do a presentation on. So let's go ahead and roll with this. So applying social work theories to real life case scenarios. I realize sometimes you get all the knowledge, you get all the information, but you don't know how to apply it. You're like, okay, this is great, but what do I do with that? So that is what I'm going to be breaking down and doing today. So going on to the first slide, this is pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're going to talk about the importance of understanding and applying theories. We're going to talk about some common exam focus, like matching theories to client scenarios. And the goal here is to learn how you can connect theories to real life cases and be able to recognize them on the exam so you can be successful. So the 3 we're going to talk about today are cognitive behavioral therapy, systems theory, and psychodynamic theory. Now, we're not digging deep into any of these. We're just going to do the bare bone basics so you'll know what keywords to look for when you're answering an exam question to recognize which one of these theories the person is talking about or asking you about during the exam. We're going to focus on some core concepts, some case examples, and some key terms. And first and foremost, we're going to go into cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. The core concept here, guys, is changing maladaptive thoughts to influence behaviors. So you change maladaptive thoughts to influence behaviors. Obviously, we're hoping for positive behaviors, but either way, when you work on changing that negative thought pattern, it influences the behavior of the client. So that is the core concept that comes with CBT. Think of cognition, think of your mind, thinking, thoughts, all that kind of stuff. When you're hearing those terms, you're thinking CBT. So a case example would be a client with anxiety is catastrophizing daily situations. So that's an example. Someone has anxiety, and this is how they handle in situations. The key terms you're going to look for when you're answering this test question is cognitive distortions, thought records, behavioral activation, and so forth. All the terms that deal with CBT to let you know this is pretty much what this client is dealing with or would need to work with. All right, let's talk about systems theory. The core concept here is the client is a part of an interconnected system. So you as an individual, we're going to say you're the client, I'm the client, whomever, we're individuals. We are part of other systems. We're part of a church system, a family system, a school system, a government system. We're part of all these systems, and they're interconnected. So that is pretty much how we look at and would understand systems theory. When you hear that interconnectedness and you hear systems, you're going to be thinking systems theory. A case example, a teenager is acting out due to family conflict. What are we focusing on here? The family is the unit or the system, and the teenager is acting out. So the key terms here we're going to be looking for maybe in the test question is boundaries, some subsystems, some homeostasis. These are the key terms that you're likely to see in a question where the answer is generated or dealing with systems theory. Hopefully you guys are catching what I'm throwing at you. All right, let's do psychodynamic theory. The core concept here is that you're addressing the unconscious conflicts from past experiences. So remember here, you're addressing unconscious conflicts from past experiences. So when you're thinking psychodynamic, you're thinking of unconsciousness, and you're also thinking of past experience. Those are some things that you want to think about or remember when we are talking about psychodynamic. A case example here is an adult with intimacy issues is due to childhood trauma. So an adult with intimacy issues due to childhood trauma. Say that's a case scenario or an example that's given to you in an exam, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we work with this client? How do we deal with that? Obviously, it's something dealing with past, so we can see that psychodynamic piece, and we probably want to address some unconscious conflicts that they're having about the intimacy issues that resulted from that childhood abuse or trauma in this case. So the key terms here are defense mechanisms. I've done a whole presentation on defense mechanisms. I even broke down one recently with just the 5 popular defense mechanisms that you're likely to definitely see on an exam. And then you want to understand these terms so you can recognize it, because that deals with the psychodynamic theory. And then also transference into unconscious drives. These are some things and terms that you want to know or familiarize yourself with when it deals with psychodynamic theory. So again, guys, nothing deep, nothing stressful. Just think about key terms, core concept. Those are the things that I want you to get from these 3 theories that we are discussing today. All right, let's move on to matching some theories with some scenarios. Now, this is a little different how I did this. I want you to match the scenario with the most relevant theory. So CBT, we know we're changing the maladaptive behaviors. That's the goal. Systems, we realize the client is part of an interconnected system, something bigger than themselves. Psychodynamic, we know we're addressing unconscious conflicts that are result from some past experiences. So let's break down these questions and see, what do you think it is? A client is dealing with depression. Are we using CBT, systems, or psychodynamic? Some of you might be asking, is the depression a result of something else, blah, blah, blah. Just only go with the information that's provided in the scenario. The client with depression, that's all we know. And the answer, you're correct, is CBT. The depression is that maladaptive behavior, and we want to work on changing it. So yes, we would do CBT. All right, family communication issues. Is that CBT, systems, or psychodynamic? I knew that was an easy one and you were going to get it. Absolutely, that is systems, because the family communication issues, family, part of the unit that needs to be addressed. That's part of that system, the family system, family unit. That's how we would look at that question. 3, attachment issues. Normally, attachment issues are a result of something that's taken place in someone's childhood with their caregiver. So in this case, we know we're dealing with something from the past. So we're going to go with that psychodynamic. Hopefully you're able to match it up. It's not any questions that I'm giving you that's going to be exactly how it's presented on the exam. Of course, if you want that, I do break it down, and I do that in my test prep course, because this is something that we do with our coaching sessions. People who've invested in a certain level of understanding and training for their test prep journey. So we do break down real questions that you're likely to see on the exam. I've actually taken some trainings on exactly how they create these questions and exactly how they are presented into the exam and what they're trying to get the learner to understand. So that is really, really helpful for me in breaking it down and helping those that are in our program. Again, these are matching theories to scenarios. Hopefully this was super helpful. And as we move on, I want you to understand and identify these key words when you see them in the question. Thoughts, CBT. Family, systems. Unconscious, psychodynamic. So you also want to read all options carefully before you choose a specific option. You want to read all of them carefully before you jump and start choosing this over this, over this, over that. Because it could be this or it could be that. All right. You also want to avoid overthinking. This is probably one of the biggest things that individuals do when they're on their test prep journey or actually taking the exam that causes them to have negative results or not passing results or whatever you want to say. They're just not able to get over the hump of passing the exam, and that is because they're overthinking. I had someone recently tell me that they were reading the test questions 3 and 4 times when they weren't sure of the answer. And like I shared with them, I want to share with you, if you don't know the answer after reading it the 2nd or 3rd time, it's why go on to the 4th? You're wasting time and energy. So you need to walk into the exam and you need to have a system. I normally say strategy, but for this case, I want you to have a system. Because if you have a system, and we're spelling system SYTEM here, I know I'm missing an extra S, but if you have a system that will save you time, energy, and money. You won't have to keep taking the exam and keep paying for all these test prep courses. That is the money you're going to save, and you'll have the energy to put forth your best foot forward, pass this exam, and do what you need to do. So make sure when you take this exam, you have, I always say strategy, but in this case, I'm going to say a system, because if I say a system and you walk in there with that, you know the system stands for saving you time, energy, and money. And that will make you think twice about just going in there and just doing whatever, being all willy-nilly with the exam. So I hope this has been really helpful. I do have a few more things that I'm going to go over and give you a few more questions, but hopefully the information you've gained so far has been helpful during this presentation. So I want to make sure that you like, subscribe, tell a friend, because again, guys, I want each and every one of you to pass the exam. I want the world to be bombarded with social workers. I want us to be everywhere you pop up, and not just with your MSW. I want them LCSWs and them LMSWs, guys. That is what we need to strive for. All right, so let's jump into these practice questions. 1, a client struggles with relationships due to childhood neglect. So, childhood, dealing with neglect. What do you think we're going to do here? Do you think it's a cognitive behavioral theory or therapy that we need to work with on this client to address? Is it any maladaptive behavior that we're trying to address here? I don't see any maladaptive behaviors. Let's see. The psychodynamic theory, address unconscious conflicts from past experiences. So the client struggles with relationships due to childhood neglect. System theory, a client is part of an interconnected system. In this situation, in this question, it only talks about the client. It's not talking about the client with anyone else, dealing with any other system, or being interconnected with any other part of your system in this case. So the correct answer is, got it, psychodynamic theory. Good job, guys. Let's move on to question number 2. A couple argues about parenting styles. Focus is on family roles. So what is that? You have a husband and wife, or a wife and a wife, or a husband and a husband, whatever the preference is in that family parenting situation dynamics. Also, if you notice on the test, for those of you that are taking the test soon or have taken the test recently, you notice they don't do a lot of gender stuff. They're really, really moving to being very mindful of using certain terms and verbiages, even when it comes to sex, race, all those things. You don't really see the questions posing that. So we'll say something like a couple argues, but you don't know if it's a husband and wife, or wife and a wife, or if it's a non-binary, binary. Like, you don't know those details about the dynamics of the couple. That is something that I learned that they're really striving towards in my training on how these questions are asked or presented on the exam. So in this case, a couple argues about parenting styles, focuses on what family roles. So what theory are we using? Cognitive behavior, I don't see any maladaptive behaviors there. We know they have parenting style issues or concerns, but we don't really know if they're negative parenting styles or anything maladaptive. I doesn't see anything that we're talking about the past. I don't see any conflicts coming up or any stuff. Is not saying the couple's doing parenting or having issues because of their childhood, something. Nope. So we're going to go with systems theory. In this case, we can see that the parent unit is part of a bigger system, and the system that is larger than them is the family. All right, guys, so we have made it to the end, and like I shared with you guys, like always, if you make it to the end, make sure you put a little comment in the end of the presentation. I know I said at the beginning the word I wanted you to use, so if you can go back to the beginning of the video, make sure you put the word. I believe it was yes. Just yes. That lets me know that this was hella helpful, and I will go ahead and knock out 3 more theories and do another presentation so you can really understand it and know how to utilize these concepts. Remember, practice connecting theories to case examples. Practice connecting theories to case examples. A lot of times people say they struggle with theories and they don't know how to use them, how to apply them. These are ways that you can apply them, ways that you can simplify it in your test prep journey to understand them better. I want to build your confidence for this LCSW or LMSW exam. That is the whole purpose of these presentations and these trainings, to make sure you're getting what you need to get. All right? And if you want more detail, more in-depth training and breakdown strategies to answering questions that you will not find anywhere else except in our bi-monthly coaching sessions. Yes, twice a month we do coaching sessions with those in our test prep program, where we're breaking down questions, we're digging deeper, figuring out how the individual learner is thinking, how they're answering questions, what might be stumping them on the exam. This is especially helpful for those that struggle with testing anxiety, or just really have their head in a shrivel because they don't know what to do or what to expect on this exam, or if you're someone that's trying to repeat the exam or need to repeat the exam and you're really struggling with what to do next. I hope this was helpful. I hope you watched it to the end. If you have any questions, any comments for me, put it in the comment section, because I read each and every one of them and I be commenting. I hope this was helpful. Enjoy. You have a blessed day. See you in the next one.